Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to our Friday episode. Uh I'm sorry for keeping it so long, but we made some prescient predictions that ended up being surprisingly correct. Considering that this was from a long, long time ago, time far, far away from the present day when we were still hopeful that Bernie Sanders could win the nomination. So, we hope you enjoy.
Psychic Dolphin Garage.
The voluntary chastity is one thing. Okay, I get it. But installing Linux on your Android phone, my God, man, we need to talk. It's okay.
Right,
It's a
it's
safe
like-
space.
Yeah, you
Is
could.
everything all right?
He's running headless Red Hat instead of something like Pop OS or one of the usable Ubuntu flavors.
Are these just words again?
No, actually,
No,
Does this mean-
These are
that's
actual
actually
things.
Linux.
I knew those things, Zach. I actually understood those. Jesus.
Well, we're not here today to talk about Earn It, the anti-encryption bill that is working its way through the House and Senate, alongside the stimulus packages that are coming down. We are here with Denis
Hello.
and Brad from Dumb and Awful.
Hi, guys. You can find me on Twitter at FizzFashizzle. It's a terrible name. I know it, but I've made it this far with it, so we're going to roll.
Sweet. Yeah, and I'm rebranding this show the Psychic Dolphin Experience because I realized that we could because Joe Rogan isn't canceled yet, I'm going to just steal that valor while I can.
Mm-hmm. Get that clout.
And we are going to talk a little bit about how great the U.S. is. We are now number one for coronavirus in the world.
Woo, we did it, boys.
Hey.
Round of
We did it.
applause for us.
It took a lot of commitment to ignoring, at first, the
Mhm.
entire breakout for 2 months. And then now we're ignoring our best recommendations from our smartest people. So we've really worked hard for this. And, every American, especially those in Mississippi, South Florida, big ups to Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. He's done a lot for this.
I can't stress how much Greg Abbott is responsible for, as he has flat out refused to allow the economy to take any hits or make any sort of substantial position on whether or not we should be protecting citizens through state directives. So Texas is also doing its part, carrying its load.
Now, pardon my ignorance, but the governor of Texas doesn't have that much power. It's actually the lieutenant governor, correct? Isn't there some weird power sharing agreement that
Just
they
because
have?
he's in a wheelchair doesn't mean
I'm just like in the Texas government, the third most powerful position is the land survey.
It's actually
person
the
or whatever.
sheriffs of your local municipalities.
I want to say that there actually is something with the railroad commissioner, because the railroad commissioner controls all the land deed kind of stuff. That's their office that controls that.
Yes, all of the
Yeah.
railroads in Texas. It's such a it's a state known for its great infrastructure when it comes to public transportation. Oh wait, no, they mean of course spewing a whole bunch of toxic shit into the air to move cows and tires and things probably.
They're actually they're the agency that regulates the oil and gas industry, gas utilities, pipeline safety, and safety in the liquefied petroleum gas industry, as well as surface coal and uranium mining.
See, the only thing to come out of Texas
Yeah.
is steers, queers, and a lot of gas.
And solar
Apparently.
power.
Well, you boys, I'm living in California, where I'm happy to report that Gavin Newsom has said that there will be a moratorium on rent for anyone with a HUD-insured house. As if that wasn't already something that the federal government was already working on, and has literally dodged every single fucking question when it comes to anyone asking about a suspension on renters' rent.
So is that basically like is Silicon Valley, landlords just being up in arms and saying, "Don't you fucking
It's
dare
Silicon
do this
Valley.
to us"?
It's all of the people who own studios in Los Angeles. It's the people who own apartment complexes in San Francisco. The ones that are like so expensive that it takes like 3 families to rent a single apartment. Yeah, it's
It's
it's a
specifically
lot of
WeWork.
oh yeah, it's specifically WeWork.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of fucking bullshit. It's it like I'm like he's doing a very like quote unquote presidential thing by basically giving us live streams every single night for the last week or so about just updates of like what's coming, how, and he has worked on some executive powers. He has taken over a few abandoned hospitals. They're renovating them. I think most like there was one in LA that was actually pretty big that should be finished by the end of the week, and then we'll now suddenly have about 140 more ICU beds or something like that. It's a very good thing, seeing as we have such a huge population. But and then of course like the entire state is on lockdown. We can't really go out and do anything.
Right.
I mean, we're allowed to go for walks, and that's about it. But he keeps on neglecting telling people like what's going to happen to renters with their rent, and is also saying like, hey, if you're looking for a job, right now's the right time. Go be a temp worker at a supermarket. And
At
that's
Amazon.
the thing is like our supermarkets are hiring like crazy. It's like not a great thing. But that's yeah, Gavin Newsom certainly has dropped the ball. I think everyone in power has kind of proven that. So yeah, way to go, boys. We're number 1
Yeah.
in ineptitude too.
How many Amazon warehouses in California have like positive coronavirus cases?
I haven't actually checked. I thought the one that was positive was in New York, actually, because that one was like not only like huge, it's also overcrowded. But I could be wrong about that.
I don't know. I don't know what the official number
Oh,
is,
yeah.
but they all coronavirus can last apparently up to 8 hours on cardboard.
Wow, wonderful.
Nice. And like 72 on stainless steel.
Yeah, that's like stainless steel can last a while. Someone was joking that you'd have to make it like all your surfaces copper, like this copper would just kill it right away. But that would not be like financially.
I mean, I know that copper. Correct me if I'm wrong. Copper does have antimicrobial properties to it, but it's not gonna be like I sneeze on it and it turns into water, not to like spit with viruses in it.
I mean, copper's pretty powerful. Like, don't eat it.
Colloidal
It'll kill
copper.
I mean, I do build like little
Yeah.
pyramids out of copper and put them around my head, so I can like connect to higher beings. But that's just me.
I heard it was silver too.
Yeah.
Silver's...
No, that's
yes.
werewolves, Zach.
Oh, well.
So, silver does have actually antimicrobial properties. Because of its charge, it's very good at killing little microscopic dudes that are susceptible at like a subatomic level to things like that. We also use something called Silvadine or Silvadine. It's something you put over wounds to help them heal and keep it clean. And
So what you're
sterile and
telling
things
me
like that.
is that I can
No,
I
I'm not.
can
No,
take
no,
colloidal
no,
silver
no.
and I'll be fine.
Don't. No. So taking colloidal silver in too high doses will lead to something called agrirism. Oh God, I'm not saying that right. Anyway, it'll literally turn you blue.
My pastor told me it was fine.
Well, I mean, there you go. Who am I?
He was shortly after he told me this, he was bitten by a snake and died, but he said I would be fine.
I would like to think those two things were unrelated.
You go into those churches where the pastors just drape the rattlesnakes over themselves, and they're like, the Lord is going to protect me.
I'm a revivalist with the snake charming pastors.
Snake handling churches of Appalachia. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say that's like
It is.
that's Appalachia.
Yeah, that's
sort of thing.
that's me. Oh yeah, I've
Really?
I've seen those. Thank God I was raised Catholic.
I actually was too.
So obviously I don't believe in God or anything.
We do normal stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's why I'm drinking.
Pass the cup around.
Yeah, pass the cup around, and you know, God, I believe that they've actually suspended that at the moment. Like the Pope has said that, like, okay, no more wine.
It only took a couple thousand deaths in Italy for them to go, maybe we could suspend that. But hey,
Well, the head of the Catholic Church is not in Italy. It's in the Holy See that has one confirmed case of COVID-19. I just checked.
that's because they locked everyone else in the crypts.
With all their Nazi art and gold.
Yeah. And then just dead coronavirus victims.
It's amazing that coronavirus, Catholic Church came out and said, you do not need to come to Mass to seek forgiveness. You don't need a priest. You can just pray at home. So you know what? Martin Luther was about 1,500 years ahead of his time right there. Whenever the hell that happened, I don't. Somebody in like Lutheran history is gonna hunt me down and tell me I got my dates wrong there.
15.
But joke's on you. I don't give a shit. I'm still a Catholic.
See, at the other end of the spectrum, like all of the like Protestant offshoots, we now have the Baptist megachurches here in Houston. Joel Osteen, and those still haven't shut down, or at least they hadn't until the city shut them down. So we're all about creating herd immunity much more efficiently.
I mean, it's one thing to go out into a mass gathering like this during a pandemic, but it's another thing to do it to see Joel Osteen.
Just like an uncharismatic cracker, like not like a white person, but like he is, but like tasteless like a cracker, just very bland.
Like if I wanted to see someone with hair that greasy, I would just look at myself in the mirror.
Do you know the story of him? How like when he was a kid, his dad was a pastor, and he was just smoking weed in his room doing nothing. And they finally like told him like, you need to get your shit together. And so he says, well, okay, I guess I'll be a scam preacher.
That
and here we are.
100% tracks. I did not know that, but that kind of makes sense.
I mean, yeah, you grow up without, you grow up in all the people that grew up in the under the Great Depression, like that ended up being basically hoarders in their later years because they were so scarred by the lack of basic survival necessities that they had during that era. Same thing, but with video games, and that's why my Steam library is so large, and I've not played any of the games.
What are the kids playing this day?
Like, I thought they still liked Fortnite, but I guess that's not it.
I mean, Call of Duty Warzone came out. That's big.
I don't know. Back in my day, all we did to play, like, the games that we played were Pokemon and that one where you, like hurl all of the air out of your lungs and then you have someone, like, push on your chest so then you faint.
Jesus Christ.
I never did that because I was too afraid of fainting.
Just forcing each other to vagal out,
and then rubbing erasers on their hands while they were passed out.
But like it's PC now, so we have to call them Native American burn.
Ugh. Well, there goes that game.
I can still say Indian because I'm brown, but you all.
Yeah, it's fine for you. Yeah, us Catholic crackers, we gotta keep it PC.
I would say that they're all playing the game that they're all playing, of course, Animal Crossing. But that seems like a very millennial thing, actually.
Yeah, because I'm playing Animal Crossing right now. Don't get me in with those kids.
We the Ring Fit for the Switch is going for apparently $300 now on eBay.
What the fuck? I'm gonna go fucking sell mine. What the hell? I just used it yesterday, actually. I have to work out for class because I still have to attend class.
Nobody can get it, and they all want it now that we're stuck in isolation. Because that's
Just
the only way that people want to get up and work out.
I know people still have Wii Fit. Just fire up your Wiis. They still work.
I mean, I remember Nintendo's kind of notorious about like keeping that demand up, on things. And now this has happened. I guess it's just sort of a force multiplier. But I remember waiting in line at 4 a.m. at Targets and Walmarts to buy a Nintendo Wii.
Oh yeah,
way back in 2005 or
2006.
whenever that was.
Such an old system.
Yeah, I never had the pleasure of like getting Xbox 360 games when they first came out, because at that time I was like mowing yards for money, and so I was like going and getting all the used games that I possibly could, and it was like trying to find the perfect. That was when GameStop was not like outright evil; they were just like kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I would only get new games on my birthday and Christmas. And I'd have to be okay. Oh, or I could just like not eat lunch for an entire week and save up the $10 that my mom gave me.
Yeah, that's
We were poor.
something. I mean, that's something, you know. As long as you're, I guess now, like you just shoplift from wherever has the nearest self checkout.
Well, yeah, except they got to still get the games
Yeah,
from the cabinet.
True. Well, let's talk about not to interrupt this really just gripping discussion about video games. But coronavirus specifically, and I guess how well prepared we are in the United States for the effects that we're feeling.
Mm.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how well prepared is the United States for a pandemic?
Well, seeing as Trump fired the pandemic response team last year, thinking it was not something that we ever would need, I think that literally puts us at a 0.
So the biggest, I mean, yeah, 0. I think 0 is bad. 0 is like Chad, where like they don't have like or like West Bank, like where they don't have like any functioning government.
Right, why would we
Fair
need to be
enough.
prepared? We have like manufacturing
We
capacity.
have it. We have it in theory. Like we could do it, but like we needed this to have happened.
Right. I
3
mean,
months ago.
here's the difference though. Is like, so I'm over here in California, and Zach, you're over in Texas, and then Brad, I'm not sure where you are.
I'm in Tennessee. Fuck
Yeah.
me,
Okay.
God.
So my infrastructure here in California is like much better. Like I probably did have coronavirus because I earlier or like late last year I got a flu shot, so I know that I wouldn't have gotten the flu, but I was still getting flu-like symptoms late February, early March, and it was a very bad cold, kind of bad flu, missed a few days of work and school, and then I came out of it fine. But I also had like insurance. I have California has a public health insurance option that makes literally everything free for me as long
CalCare.
as I make almost no money. And guess what? I do. That's me. So my situation here is so much more. We're better prepared, even though we are pretty poorly prepared
Right.
in California.
Sure, and that's the big difference with that is that since the federal government has essentially
100%.
just given up all responsibility and all
Right.
and they're not doing anything right now. They're coming out with recommendations and things of that nature.
Well, in like the city of Houston, we didn't do a shelter in place. We did a stay at home, work safe, declaration, guidance,
Suggestion, strongly worded letter.
an oration. Literally, the judge. I tried to watch the live broadcast of the judge giving the speech, and it was like 15 minutes in, and she hadn't said anything at all. And I'm like, what are you trying to say? Just say what you mean. You need like 2 sentences to say what you mean.
Yeah, I think it was even like, I don't know if this was been like factually reported or not, but the Trump administration apparently knew how bad this would be and kind of played it down because it would hurt his
January.
reelection, even though Trump is doing very well against literally every candidate except for maybe Bernie Sanders.
Well, it's so there's a couple of things, and my favorite thing about this, the one thing that Trump has cared about more than anything else, is satisfying the vape voters. And so apparently, and it's amazing, like how one track he is with us. So like the Washington Post reported in January, they were trying to tell him about this corona, the COVID-19 in Wuhan, China, and he was like, okay, fine. What about the vapors? How do we get them back?
Trump is sitting in his office. Look, I know that we took some missteps and we thought that we were going to ban vaping, but that is the core group according to Facebook's algorithm. And we really need to make sure that we shape these laws around the vapors.
That is literally how he's going to win Florida again, was getting the vapor vote.
But to go back to your original question, you look at these countries like, England, Italy, Spain is going up in flames right now, France. These all have a centralized healthcare system. And I'm not going to, obviously, I'm not going to defend the U.S. system. I don't want to get onto this. But they're all working together, right? They're pooling their resources.
Well, except for Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, Czechoslovakia just being very Slav about it and just, taking whatever they want. But like, in the States, we have states competing against each other for the PPE, for respirators. They're trying to outbid one another. And Trump even made a joke about it. I think it was DeWine or Cuomo said, yeah, we're losing bids to the government. It's too expensive. And Trump was like, yeah, we probably gave them a better price, And so like that's completely in the pay. Like there's no way to predict how that's going to happen. What's going to happen with that?
I mean, and then on the opposite side of the coin, you have to look at two very scary communist nations, Cuba and Vietnam. Cuba, I'm looking at the CDC report right now, has only had one new outbreak, and they in total only had 4. Actually, no, they have 0 new outbreaks, only 1 death, or they had a total of 48 total cases. And Vietnam, even though it was very close to the epicenter, comparatively, has basically mitigated the entire disease. Can't really find their numbers right here on the CDC, but I've been following Luna Oi. She's a communist YouTuber in Vietnam, and her partner American Johnson, who does non-compete, and they're talking about how not only did Vietnam like right away try to contain the spread of the coronavirus, but they also were like they did shelter in place and had the government distribute food and supplies to people. And now, because everything is mostly contained, lives can go back to mostly normal. But they're like suggesting that people like try not to go out too much, wash their hands, and like wear masks and things. Because they're pretty much at the tail end of this thing, or like nearing the end of this for themselves. Like they were able to do it so quickly because they cared for everyone. Who knew that this would actually work out so well?
Yeah, well, and there's not just one thing that has made responses around the globe better. There's a multitude of things, all of which the U.S. has failed at, and not the least of which is, as Brad mentioned, publicly controlled healthcare systems, manufacturing capability, testing capability, response to individual cases. Like you said in Vietnam's case, just a broader, like almost community level efforts to isolate the sick and keep everybody alive during their response. So I guess the first one we could talk about, the glaring one, would be like public health care. Is that something you want to talk about, Brad?
I would love to. I'll talk about that all night. Yeah. But before
Part 1, public healthcare systems and
I,
coronavirus.
I want to jump into it. We're talking about testing, and this is sort of like a weird thing. I don't think testing is actually that big a deal for this thing, because and obviously I want to know if I have it. And you talk about South Korea had these drive-through testing centers, and they were able to lock down and whatever. I guess in the sense that like if you're a country like us, which really doesn't really want to lock down in any meaningful or significant way, if you knew you had it and could get tested very quickly, then you knew you could, lock down and self-isolate.
Right.
And in that sense, but like from where we are as a country, like the test is kind of irrelevant. Because if you have it and you're in your 30s or 40s or younger and you don't have any other conditions, you need to just stay home and just do it like that.
Yeah. My thing is like the testing seems like the most logical according to the American quote unquote ideology, because there's no large federal oversight to force people into quarantine. There is everybody just gets tested, and the people that are positive self-quarantine because they would be allowed to, because they need to stop the spread of it, and then everybody can do their stuff as long as we're getting tested.
That wide-scale testing would require healthcare infrastructure that simply doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
In this country.
I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's just seems like the ideal according to, even Americans' own professed ideologies.
And the glory of the free market or whatever doesn't have an answer for this, right? That we could have. It's just it's a difficult situation. I don't mean to say testing is unimportant or whatever, but for any of us right here, we don't have any. If you don't have any lung condition or anything like that, and you wake up and you have all the symptoms, you can't smell, you can't taste, you feel the burning sensation, retrosternal burning sensation, cough, whatever. Don't go to the ER. Right? For God's sakes, don't go to the ER unless you cannot breathe. Then go. But if you just feel like shit and this is like a flu and you've had this before and it's like a bad cold, just have your friend bring you some ice cream and get Animal Crossing and hunker the fuck down.
Yep.
Retrosternal burning.
Burning like heartburn.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's back of the sternum burning.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is. I just have heartburn. Just in general, so that's not gonna help me this week at all.
You don't have coronavirus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had coronavirus now that I'm thinking about it. Looking back at my symptoms, although I got screened for it, they didn't say anything.
Well, your lungs looked fine. You have nice, healthy lungs.
Now, I gotta call the hospital, see if I can't get a copy of the scans. Just hang them.
I mean, do you want the really scary symptom?
Yes.
Sure. Do you want me to freak you out? Yeah.
It won't freak me out. It'll freak Zach out though. But I want I love seeing Zach get so fucking scared. It's the best.
So the way that coronavirus infects is it goes through these ACE2 receptors, which are used by your kidneys to control blood pressure. Without getting too much into the pathophys of it, but you have ACE2 receptors in your kidneys, and so patients are showing up with lower back pain and flank pain that they don't realize what it is.
I am 6'3". I have lower back pain all the fucking time.
It's because you're so
dude. You're
dangly.
already dead. I apologize,
dude. My it's not heartburn. It's not back pain. It's the fucking coronavirus.
Yeah, it's not because you're this gangly white dude who will shudder at anything spicier than a jalapeno.
Oh my God, Dennis, you were such a that is unfair to my diet and
your
to my
heritage.
Species.
Yeah, you're in Texas, for God's sakes.
Yeah, we're right next to Mexico. I know what a jalapeno is.
You're not allowed to go into Mexico now, but
I know that you know what a jalapeno is. What I'm telling you is that your whiteness will not keep you from not getting Montezuma's revenge.
I already have just a pack of Thai chilies and Korean peppers just in the freezer, and a bunch of ginger just waiting to get this fucking shit.
And tell me, how many antacids do you have to take?
I'm gonna take so much LSD.
That's not an antacid. That's acid. As your medical advisor, I would recommend you do not take LSD for your upset stomach.
It will just become upset in a different way.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I'm not sure it will help.
Yeah, your tummy is not. Your tummy is literally growling. It's not trying to eat you when you're on.
We had a girl real fast in the ER. She was 16 and she was not talking, and she was there for an overdose, and they sent me in there to figure out what happened. She was like, I overdosed. And I was like, okay, you seem okay. You're talking to me. What did you take? Did you take heroin? Did you take pills? She's like, I took LSD. I was like, okay, I understand this. This can happen. So how much did you take? She said 2 tabs. And I was like, oh, bitch, get the fuck out. Like,
She's just tripping.
Yes.
you need to
Jesus
and like
Christ.
all the nurses were like, that bitch needs to learn how to take her drugs. Like, you know what? 2 tabs of acid just shakes up the snow globe for me at this point.
The nurses are just the nurses are in the PCP closet like, come on.
This bitch, like, she was there for 2 nights.
Jesus Christ.
That's very like rich frat school vibes.
But anyway, yes, the poor healthcare system, which is that's going to have states at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing about this, so you have like your main places that's looking like is going to fall apart right now. Washington might be through it. We're not sure yet. New York is obviously going to be like the number 3 place in the world for coronavirus, like versus countries here in the next couple of days, if it's not already.
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana is going to be horrific, and Florida is going to be horrific. Now, you know,
God, Florida's already
fucked.
Well, Florida
but like
is
Florida
doomed
has
always.
money. Florida has money, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be a shit show. It's Florida. Nothing ever works well. But you know, compared to Louisiana
has no infrastructure.
Like for
And-
anything.
Yeah, and all of the like cities. I mean, I'm right next to Louisiana. I've been there a lot. Like all the cities are like small, but like
Yeah.
really spread out as well. So there's not the capability for people that are stuck out in the boonies in Louisiana to get to somewhere with a hospital that has ICU beds, to get
Right.
onto a ventilator, to get you know, even groceries if the state shuts down. Like God forbid the state shuts down. Their road system is already so fucking bad. But if there's just nobody moving anything around that state, you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
and the other thing about Louisiana is you have to think about, like, not all states are the same. You're looking at like pre-existing conditions is what we call them. And you think about a state like Louisiana, everybody smokes, everyone's diabetic, everyone has heart problems. These are, you know, for a relatively healthy person, they get coronavirus. They have enough what's called biologic reserve, right? Just basically like strength to survive the illness. When you have all of these people, like in Louisiana, who are all smokers, they can't breathe, they're on dialysis, you know, yada, 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 whatever, they get this. It's just going to be a fucking disaster.
yep. God, all that Cajun cooking is good for your soul, but not the rest of your body.
No, not for
Yeah,
those kidneys and the heart.
Yeah, Louisiana had to have the head coach for LSU come out and give an announcement about the dangers of this because they don't trust their government at all there in that state.
I mean, I wouldn't either. Their governor is an absolute fuck.
I mean,
And all of their city infrastructure. I lived in New Orleans for like 6 months, and I worked there, working with the city stuff, doing construction, and all of the like city officials and city worker people are very like middle upper class white people that would definitely not believe that like the social infrastructure is complete dog shit and is actually hurting people.
Right, because they don't see, you know, they're in, where's the nice suburb of New Orleans? What is it called again?
Garden City, I think, is like
Garden-
that's like right in, that's like the main area of New Orleans.
Yeah, the people that didn't get flooded, essentially. And they're completely oblivious to it. Like, they get to go to, Tulane, I guess, is where the really nice hospital is in New Orleans.
Yep.
It's gonna, like, ravage. Like, New Orleans is fine. I mean, it's got problems, but it's fine. Like, the rest of the country, or the rest of the state, which is basically like True Detective Season 1, like, that's just fucked.
oh boy.
Yeah. God.
Like, maybe Shreveport will be okay, maybe Baton Rouge will be fine, but, like, you know, wherever in North Louisiana is not going to do very well.
Right. The parts where, you know, they have completely gotten rid of all public schools and they're now charter schools, those are probably going to be hit pretty hard.
I live in a state that leads the country in closing rural hospitals. Right?
Ooh,
They're
cool.
just closing all the rural hospitals in Tennessee.
Oh, because like
And
people
it's-
don't live there.
because they are no longer profitable.
Yeah.
Because the population in Tennessee is so sick. We have the worst air quality in the nation in East Tennessee. That they can't make money off them. They can't make money if they're dying because they're not living to 65 before they decide to die.
That used to be a
Isn't that
pride
because-
of California, of Los Angeles. So I'm glad that you took that away from us. Thank you.
Yes.
Isn't that because Kentucky just like has a bunch of giant fans and it put all of its manufacturing capacity like right on the Tennessee-Kentucky border and just blows everything over into Tennessee?
Well, it's actually because East Tennessee is nestled between two mountain ranges, and it's essentially like in a depression. And so all the lovely fumes from literally all over the country just sort of settle here and hang out.
Yummy.
Right.
Uh,
Great Smoky Mountains and the Daniel Boone National Forest.
There you go. Daniel Boone went and got his ass shot in Texas. What for, Daniel?
I mean, California for a long while was closing hospitals, mainly in the Los Angeles area because they were serving populations that couldn't get healthcare because they made just too much money that they couldn't apply for Medi-Cal, but like not enough for them to
That they could do anything with.
Yeah, not enough
Right.
for
Yeah.
and a lot of I know this is happening all across the country, but we're hearing it a lot here in California is that we don't know if all of our hospitals can stay open because there's just not enough elective surgeries being done right now. And California, I feel like, probably has a lot of elective surgeries done.
Right. So elective surgeries are how hospitals make their money.
Exactly.
Right? Like rich white people in December want their shoulder fixed so they're healthy by when the club opens up in April for the golf tournaments. Right. And if you ever see someone talk about rationing or waiting in line for a health procedure and they had to like wait for months, it is fucking always a shoulder procedure.
Right.
Every single time it is a slap tear or a rotator cuff.
So this
because
is-
these fucking assholes want it timed perfectly so they're healthy for the club regalia or whatever in April.
So this is
every single time.
This is why California, the government has said that it can, the California government has said that it can commandeer any hospitals if necessary, is because, so we're doing a pseudo nationalization, I guess, nation statalization of hospitals. I mean, our governor keeps referring to us as a nation state, and I know that's not incorrect, but it sounds very weird and separatist.
I mean,
I was-
I'm all for it. Yeah. Get me in.
Yeah, there are 50 different approaches to stopping and or treating the coronavirus in the U.S. currently.
And one of them
So-
is getting rid of California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would cut the numbers down substantially
That
from a
would.
national
I
standpoint.
mean, but then the country would become bankrupt because we give you all so much more money than we ever get back. You're welcome for all the movies. I'm just kidding. But no, like what's weird though is like, so I have a roommate who works at a medical facility. He works at an ophthalmologist. And currently, they're no longer seeing new patients if the surgery that they need is elective. But that also includes things like cataract surgery. And to
Sure.
say that like things like not like, yeah, a rotator cuff to make sure that you have like full rotation, fine. But like you can live. But I would say that your quality of life is probably a little hampered if you can't see very well or at all because of your cataracts. So it's very weird
now,
how we
so sure. So right when we talk about like elective surgery, and this is sort of indicates how serious it's becoming. Are you going to die from this right now?
exactly.
Yes or no? If no, move to we'll get back to this. Whatever.
Get in line.
Right.
Right. Cataract surgery is actually pretty straightforward, and once you get to the point where you're going to have surgery for it, yes, it sucks now, but like it's probably not going to get worse if we wait 6 months. Like it's going to be the same surgery.
Right.
But that's a testament to how bad it's gotten because we need the beds and we need the equipment essentially.
Yeah.
If you go under for surgery, depending on what the surgery is, you are going to be ventilated, right? You are going to be intubated and, all these things. I'm not sure for orthopedic surgery if you have to be ventilated for a bunch of those. I apologize, but that's equipment that's needed.
Yeah, totally.
Recovery beds that are needed for people that are.
Well, I mean, recovery beds or whatever. You can put anybody in a bed in a hall, and it's a recovery bed.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine. It's more the people that know how to run ventilators, the equipment itself, and just the manpower, really.
Yeah.
I guess kind of flipping into the equipment. Have you seen any of those the organizations? There's one that I saw. It's like 3D printer people that are looking to print a bunch of parts collectively to help produce more ventilators, essentially.
Right. Well, they weren't producing the story I saw wasn't they were producing ventilators. There was a tube, like a. There
was one in Italy.
Yeah, that was the one I was reading where they figured out there was like a connection piece or something like that, and for it only lasted for like it didn't last very long, but it was better than not having one,
Right.
which is fine. As far as 3D printing and actually ventilator, that's completely unreasonable.
Well,
There
not
there is something I found on Reddit. It's there's actually a website for this organization. It's called Project Open Air. It's projectopenair.org. It doesn't have a lot on here, but I was reading about it. There is certainly basically boosts the supply chain with whatever is like super expensive, similar to the parts that they're manufacturing in Italy.
I mean,
or the hardest to make.
I could see that, but like the actual machine itself, like no, absolutely not. Those are very complex machines.
Yeah, the brains of it especially. You can't just 3D print a bunch of fucking somebody sitting in a dark room hand wiring a ventilator. Yeah, this is actually a bespoke ventilator. We're going to sell these units to the rich.
It's artisanal.
Yeah. They're handmade in Austin, Texas, and we sell them to all the oil tycoons that live in Texas.
We are
'Cause
sitting.
That is
we are
happening
sitting on
100%.
we're sitting on $1 billion box idea right now. Like every 3 months, we will curate the medical equipment that you need based on your genetic profile. Like,
Holy shit!
here is your
Oh my god.
here is your dialysis machine. This is a English dialysis machine. It's the finest quality. It'll pull all the potassium out of your blood. And here is your ventilator. And here is your like glucometer, which will check your blood sugar. And here is some Viagra because you're gonna have so much energy
All of this
for
is covered by your-
$4,000 a month. This is my fucking idea. Whoever steals it, I swear to God, this is legal. It's my idea.
This is legal. Part of this is being recorded in California, which means it's verbal, which means that it's legal.
Perfect. This is why we have Dennis on the show, so that
Exactly.
all of our insane pitches
Uh-huh.
can be monetized
Yeah.
in the future.
Verbal contracts are legally binding in the state of California.
Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're laughing right now, but I swear to God, if I knew the right person, I could absolutely get that
Shut
going.
the fuck
Yeah.
up.
There's no way that the rich do not have the rich do not have their own ventilators that they've purchased.
And you know what? And I wanna speak to our comrades. Like that means nothing. That doesn't mean a fucking thing for them. If they don't have someone to run it, if they don't have someone to intubate them, like you've
They
got
absolutely
a fancy,
have like their own doctor and their own and a nurse assistant. I mean, I'm talking about like obscenely rich people. I'm not talking about like the guy that has $1 million in the bank for his retirement. You know?
and I'm telling you, that person's still gonna die. Like I
good.
guarantee it.
R.I.P. Madonna.
I've seen people decompensate on respirator. Oh God, she looks terrible.
That adrenochrome withdrawal is really hitting her, isn't it?
Yep.
She's fucking lost her mind. Like I'm kind of loving watching her spiral. Her singing about fucking fried fish and saying that coronavirus is the great equalizer in her like bath of milk or whatever the fuck she was bathing in.
Bolstering manufacturing capacity is like useless if we're 3 months late to the game.
Yeah, we are. Yes, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't do it either, right?
Right. It's,
Because-
it's
and
all
I
part of
would-
that flattening the curve sort of thing.
Right, and I mentioned this in a different podcast, but this is going to hit again in the fall, right? This is not going to be a one and done.
Right. It's like the Spanish flu, probably.
Yeah, that which sort of hit in waves.
Mhm.
Which was actually from Kansas, which is sort of like a bad deal for Spain. They did nothing.
Right.
But
They did nothing except actually report the deaths, unlike everyone else in the world.
Right.
Thanks,
Um,
Spain.
So it'd be good that, in the fall, if we even have a country anymore, because we're staring at 3.3 million people unemployed. Just
That have applied for unemployment.
yeah, which means it's really closer to what 5, 6 probably.
Yeah.
So we have a country in the fall. It'll be good that we have all these ventilators and things for them.
Mm-hmm. If all the doctors haven't gone on strike.
Doctors will never go on strike. Nurses will go on strike before doctors do.
You're definitely right about that.
Yeah.
That still would
and
not be helpful for us.
And we're talking about Madonna, how crazy she's gotten. I think it bears mentioning that on the other end of that spectrum, Britney fucking Spears is a comrade. She has come out for universal basic income and wealth redistribution.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
I mean, wasn't Britney Spears part of the group that was basically owned by Max, what's his name, that Swedish producer that also had like Kesha and Katy Perry?
Yeah, she saw some shit coming up.
No.
Yeah,
she was prior to that. I think she was a Ron Perlman.
No, Max Martin.
Really? Oh.
Is her producer.
Yeah, he does write
Ron
like
Perlman?
everything.
Since 1999. Oh yeah, and all his music is the same bullshit, and that's why everybody complains about pop music. But that's common knowledge now, I hope. I don't know.
That's not her fault.
Whatever. It's not her fault. Yeah, it's like all these female pop stars that have that were the same person from like 19 from the 90s up to the 10s
Until
or to at least
Korea
2010.
fucking took it over.
Yeah,
Korea
just
changed the game.
fucking body checked the U.S. and was like, "Hey, so you thought that you were basically enslaving your pop stars? We have entire groups of them that we just imprison in their houses."
And
70-member bands doing our bidding.
I'm still under the impression that the explosion of of K-pop is specifically for pro-South Korean propaganda, because most of their labels are owned by the country.
It's this is not my joke. This is Rob's from at Dumb and Awful. But one of the main K-pop singers, they kept deferring his mandatory military service because he was in the most popular band in the world. And finally, the military, when he was 25, came to him and said, no, it's time. You're not getting out of this. We don't care how popular you are. Could you imagine that happening in the United States? You're making that much money? No, it's fine.
And they still take you?
Yeah.
Come on. What
Yeah.
am I sacrificing my development as a human being and my mental stability past the age of 34?
And it's okay. I have bone spurs. I can't go into the military.
But you can be elected president, so congratulations.
There you go. I could also be only 1 pound over being obese. Mysteriously.
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
one.
That is talent.
That man definitely has coronavirus.
No, I don't think he does.
He's
been out a lot.
There's no justice in the world.
He looks really sick though.
He looks sick all the time because he's on speed essentially.
Fair enough.
But I mean, he couldn't do the press conference that he did yesterday if he had corona. Now Bolsonaro down in fucking Brazil, dude, that
Is he
dude's
dead yet?
Oh god, he's a dead man walking.
No, he for sure does have coronavirus. I keep seeing pictures of
Yes.
him. He looks he already looks like shit, just of course. But he looks worse and worse every time.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes are bugging out and stuff.
The real interesting one is Biden didn't do an appearance for 5 days and then looked like he'd had a stroke.
I have
He had a second aneurysm.
I have a little bit of a theory about that, and this is just kind of based off of a bunch of other people's theories kind of melded into one, is that I think the Biden campaign was really hoping that it all would just blow over in a week. Because he's not whatever go-go juice that they injected into him for the debate with Bernie clearly ran out. It was only good for that day. And all they could muster up was an intern putting a thumbs up on a live video.
What a chip.
And he's very well aware that he is deteriorating. He's made it very obvious. Wasn't it in Washington Post he said that he's hoping to pick a VP that will be able to take the presidency almost immediately or something. That's a misquote.
Yeah.
But,
I
like,
saw that. Yeah.
But like, of course, like every VP is considered that, but you don't say that. You say that part quiet. Like you don't say that out loud.
Yeah, no, like in a world where the coronavirus isn't absolutely ravaging the entire earth and people aren't, are just dying. Biden saying, "I want a VP that's like ready to take the reins."
On
that I don't
day
have to
2,
turn up.
I need
Yeah.
a VP ready for day 3.
First 100
Yeah, him
days,
saying that.
bucket.
Yeah, him saying that is like almost a joke, and most definitely like speaking to old people where he's like, yeah, no, I need somebody that's capable to be my second hand man, not not somebody that's
woman,
super young.
Pardon you.
Ooh, listen, you can't say it out loud, Dennis.
He wants.
Yeah,
control.
no, I don't understand how he just let that happen for so long and continue on. His entire team is just the entire DNC is just incompetent to the nth degree.
It's from a medical standpoint, something's happened. Like he wasn't doing great before, right? I mean, he wasn't doing great up to this point or a week ago or whatever. Something is dramatically different.
I mean, I don't even think it takes
And,
like a medical professional to see that he's deteriorated a lot.
Substantially over the last week.
It just
Bernie has only gotten
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it only takes someone who's ever seen their grandparent like become like sedentary and like lose their mind to dementia to notice that like something pretty bad is happening to Biden.
Somebody said that Biden's got that shiny skin thing now that like the old people about to die have. And I was like, oh, fuck, you're right. That is a thing he has. And like every single nursing home has a story of like there's a cat that'll go to the room where the person's about to die. Like every single nursing home has a story. I keep waiting for these like live streams of Biden for a cat just to jump up on the podium with him.
He's like, I don't even have a cat.
Like the bird that landed on Bernie's podium.
Yeah, but except that it's a cat here to herald his doom and death.
Jesus Christ.
Like you really have to give Bernie a lot of props for his ability to his plans are solid, and what he did I just got the campaign email a few hours ago. I was reading through it. He said that he's unhappy with the bills that were able to get through, but he was able to put in some legislation in there that would help out people. He and other people, not just him. Of course, he would never say that he alone would have done something. But I'm really hoping that he and Rashida Tlaib continue to push harder in the next couple of days when it comes to protections for further protections for the unemployed and the soon to be many more unemployed, and then the people like lacking insurance.
Well, as of right now, the Senate is on a 2-week break. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks Rand Paul.
Thank you. Well, Rand's like in isolation right now with coronavirus.
I honestly hope that man fucking dies. Like not.
That was a
I
joke.
hope that he.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
In Minecraft to coronavirus.
There are very few people that I wish would log onto a PvP Minecraft server. Rand Paul is one of them. I would download the game just to finish them myself.
In Minecraft.
In the PvP Minecraft server.
So for our listeners that don't know, last year Rand Paul, or 2 years ago, I can't remember when it was tackled off his riding lawnmower by his neighbor, who was a very successful dentist, and speared into the ground so hard that it punctured his lung. The dentist did not get in trouble for this because the cops showed up and realized who was involved, and everyone decided they needed to take a step back and let this settle out. Rand Paul tried to just recover, but they eventually had to take part of his lung out because the injury was too severe.
Didn't he end
up
getting that surgery in Canada or something too?
No, he got it in he went to Canada for got a kidney surgery. He went
That's
to a
right.
famous hospital in Canada that only does kidney surgeries. I can't remember what he had specifically. It might not be a kidney either. Anyway, so he came down to fucking Vanderbilt in Nashville because he's in Lexington and had one of my lecturers do his lobectomy. And now, so Rand is working with 80% lung capacity on his best day, and now he has coronavirus. So, you know what, Rand? Just go forth.
You love to
Make
hear
your
it.
peace with God. You hate to see it.
I mean,
right?
here's the thing: the Spanish flu killed the Spanish king. So who's to say that coronavirus can't kill a senator?
It can't kill Rand Paul, our
Yeah.
king.
It totally
God.
can.
And the entire rest of the that's the Senate, right? Not the House of Representatives.
Right, that's the
Yeah,
Senate.
Rand's in the Senate.
I mean, APAC as well. Like so many people at APAC ended up getting into contact with that one guy.
was it APAC
Yep.
or CPAC?
I think it might have actually it might have been both, but
I think it was. I think the big one was CPAC, where
Right.
it was probably Mick Mulvaney who was hacking his lungs up on stage, and then Trump just sent him to Ireland.
Oh boy. All these old people like just don't know how to cough. Like cough into your
They don't know
elbow.
how to.
They think they think carrying around a handkerchief is still like a good idea. I swear it's all because they're from the South too, and that's like a thing.
Hey now.
It's an
Yeah, it is. It's a
antiquated
thing.
Southern thing.
Yeah, it's like a cute, like old Southern man who has like like a breast pocket, and he pulls it out and he coughs, and there was like, oh, look at that guy, and then he like goes on about race science, and you're like, oh, Jesus,
And then
God.
he dies of consumption.
and then he gets tuberculosis and dies in Asheville like a dog.
God. Asheville. I worked in Asheville too.
What did you do in Asheville? That's my hometown.
The KFC and all that it was. People don't pay attention to any of the signs or any of the construction things that are up. We literally put up fences to stop people from like walking up to these places in North Carolina, and it's just a bunch of retirees that like open the door and like walk inside, and there's like
when it opens, they are there.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's like what 9 a.m. every day, and they're there and they're like, is the dining room open? There's somebody like chipping up tile from the floor. It's like, no, we aren't. Can I help you? Well, when are you gonna open back up? Look, man, this is not. I can tell you, when, but please don't come back.
It's literally
We're taking out their buffet, and they're like complaining about. They're like, you're taking out the buffet? It's like, man, they're taking it out because you and your two friends are the only ones that show up to eat it.
that's literally how the MAGA shitheads around here have been acting about everything being closed. Like the dine-in areas of the restaurants.
Christ.
I live in Orange County, so we have quite a few.
Oh God.
Yeah. But I live in the good part of Orange County. It's like one of the only Mexican cities, so I fit in very well. It has the least amount of white supremacists per capita.
Oh, the good part. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I did go to the Del Taco, and there was a guy fully with like white supremacist Nazi tattoos. At the Del Taco, like, you don't deserve it. Like, you need to go somewhere else, boy. Like, sir, this is Mexican food. Like, or it pretends.
It's close enough to Mexican food.
I mean, they serve tacos.
That's Mexican food,
I mean,
right?
Mexicans eat tacos. I'm Mexican.
Yeah,
I eat tacos.
Mexican food. Yep.
Apparently nothing but. That's the whole culture. It's
Yeah. I guess we've talked about like supply a little bit. I guess the only other aspect really is how unprepared the U.S. was for not only this pandemic but like a pandemic and like much more broadly the missteps that we took.
So I want to, and this is a broader critique, right? You can apply this to lots of things. But the way we sort of work in this country is that on-time delivery system, right? Where everything is so micromanaged that we know how much we're going to need at any given point, and we can figure it out. So we never really have anything like in the back room everything is going onto the shelves and is being sold. Right?
Yes.
It's the 1980s Toyota figured it out where like things show up right when they're needed. And this sort of like high-speed, low-drag system is, when done correctly, it's very efficient, it's very cost-efficient, right? And that's how healthcare has been run, where we ration it as much as we can. We don't have a lot of bonus, but we can figure out who's going to need how much, and we're only going to have that much. And now we are in a situation where all of our healthcare system is about to be overwhelmed in about the next 10 to 14 days. We're seeing this right now in New York. We're going to see this in Florida. We're going to see it in Louisiana. And it's horrifying because for the first time, people are going to be told not only do they not get what they want, right? The thing they want is to breathe, okay? Like, this isn't that, like, Chipotle is not out of guacamole, right? We don't have a ventilator for you. Or if we do, you're too high risk versus this 35-year-old marathon runner who we can save. And that's going to be the failure. That's going to be like what's going to lead. That is just the I don't know how to say this, but that is the just biggest critique of our system, that like it cannot handle a flu that we knew about 4 months ago. Not a flu, excuse me, a virus that we knew about 4 months ago.
Right.
That's not even necessarily like a on-time delivery critique, because that's like supply chain logistics theory, right?
Yeah, I think this is like it's a broader critique of how capitalism has made us in particular in America so unprepared for any of this, beyond just like, you know, not having adequate healthcare system. It's like part of it is that we don't have things. We don't have the things that you need.
Right, and it's amazing that it took. I mean, this all started falling apart in the 80s, obviously. It's amazing that it took 40 years for this to happen.
Right.
You know.
I mean,
yeah.
Ebola easily.
It's a blessing that it only took 40
like
years.
Something like Ebola or Zika could have easily like become something so much worse in America, but it just didn't. I mean, I would be
broader discussion of coronaviruses, maybe like this one is just a very, very bad one because of its transmittability.
It's bad because it has a long incubation period relative to like a common cold. Mm-hmm. It is moderately more virulent. I mean, it spreads a little better. But the longer you have it and you don't know you have it, you're going to be spreading it more, right? Which is why it's so deadly.
And it doesn't help that we live in a country that has a lot of anti-intellectualism for like, eggheads have kind of ruined a lot of shit and are a bunch of like shitty liberals, but like they're not incorrect when it comes to vaccinations. But we've come to a point where we're very skeptical of vaccinations, so now we're getting overwhelmed not just with people who have coronavirus, but people who just have a regular just a regular flu, because the symptoms are exactly the same. It's just with the coronavirus they get worse.
Flu-like symptoms, you know, is a hangover, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how old you guys are. Eventually, you will get a fever and a cough when you drink too much. It's inevitable.
I'm well beyond that age. Don't you worry.
You know when baseball players miss a start with flu-like symptoms, they're just hungover.
Yeah,
like that's what it is.
When your teacher misses on a Monday in high school, it's
hangover.
It's
or like movie days, right?
Is that why employers don't believe that you have like the flu?
Exactly.
I mean,
what the fuck?
They just think you're hungover. Like, have you never had this hangover yet, where like you spike a fever and you want to die?
I mean, I've never I don't take my own temperature whenever I'm hungover because I would rather die than like get out of bed and touch things.
You poor baby. You just don't know yet.
Yeah.
But
child.
Yeah, but I haven't had a bad hangover in a long time. Like I'm like beyond hangovers at this point because my tolerance is like high enough.
Wait, have you turned 30 yet?
No.
Oh
26.
God.
So
no. Oh, you haven't even had the 27-year-old hangover. So okay, when you turn 27, you will magically. It's incredible. Talk to anybody about this. The night they turn 27 is the worst hangover of their life. They have no idea what happened. You don't know what you're walking into. You might not survive it. I apologize in advance. please just drink Gatorade.
We talked about this. I'm drinking Sprite.
It's 27. It's a magical number. I don't understand it. I want to do a double blindsided study on this. I don't think I would get that approved.
Yeah, something
when
tells
was
me
your-
that right now the Fed's not giving out grants for hangover.
Yeah.
Hangover
But, like-
studies.
But like if I was in like a group of like, a room full of 40-year-old men, they'd look at me and be like, he's absolutely right. We need to figure this out.
Too bad we have a teetotaler for president, though.
Jesus. Yeah, I know. I'll be sure. I guess that's this year, so I'll be sure and just have some very nice whiskey to sip on, and be very careful about not overindulging.
You poor baby.
I as long as I've been warned, I guess I'll do okay. Unlike the U.S.,
Unlike the
Yeah.
US, who was warned.
unlike the U.S., it was definitely warned. Which and to kind of tie this back in, this is not necessarily a critique of like the on-time delivery system, because we had so much warning, because we knew, because China, there's that it apparently there's I didn't really look for sources myself or anything, but the story about like them silencing a doctor and preventing him from speaking out about the coronavirus breakout, totally falsified and not true.
Right. I was skeptical of how true that was, only because I can't.
It was convenient.
Right. I can't trust any news coming out of China, and I also can't trust any news about China coming from
Right.
U.S. sources. It's like both are very good at anti or of propaganda in general. Both are very
Yeah,
good at that.
Sure. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that we're learning, and now we're looking at, especially data coming out of France, and now especially data coming out of New York, is that China's age distribution was sort of bizarre, right? They didn't affect the youth at all. In France, they were horrified because it's affecting the youth a lot, and in New York, we're seeing this as well. So China did something. Now we don't know, right? And we're sitting here. Anyone that would be accused of criticizing China's a reporting of disease, we can't say shit in America. Like we're intentionally not testing anyone.
Yeah, to keep our numbers low.
Trump said flat out he wasn't going to let a cruise ship disembark because it would increase the numbers. Like he just said it, like right there in an interview.
Yeah, in front of God and every fucking voter on the face of this godforsaken country.
And apparently 49% of people looked at that and said, yeah, that's what I want as president right there. Yeah, he's got me in the fall.
And it speaking of shitty reporting, it's only because the mainstream media is terrible at reporting exactly what Sanders has been doing for the past week and a half when it comes to addressing these things. Like he's very much willing to have the next debate, even though the DNC and Biden are trying their damnedest to not have that happen, because
Before Biden dies.
they don't want to show that Biden is absolutely unprepared for this sort of thing, where Sanders would be, and that would get onto like a much larger scale, and people would see that in comparison to Trump and not Biden in comparison.
Yeah.
Right.
It's laughable
I've
what
been-
they're trying to do.
Yeah, I've been like, I've had to work the past week because we were moving out of our old office and warehouse, and the rent for that ends at the end of this month. So I've had to work the last 2 weeks to get out of there. So we're kind of isolated. We're just going back and forth between the storage unit and the other place. But I'm like, got my Purell on my belt loop. I'm like wearing gloves. I'm like trying to wash my hands a lot, because not only do I not want this, but I have, an immunocompromised younger sister. I have grandparents that are in the city that I want to be able to still like take groceries to, because I know we're going to be shut down.
Right.
And a lot of the time I've been wearing masks going to the grocery store for the past 2 weeks, and people laugh at you because in their minds it's not that serious. They don't realize how serious it is.
You just don't live
And-
near a place where there's a bunch of weebs.
Well, absolutely. But like not only do they not think it's serious, like you can tell how serious people think it is based on what they're doing to prepare, and who's like kind of like, all right, I'm gonna start stockpiling some food in the freezer in case we can't go grocery shopping, in case I
Yeah.
can't leave the house. The only politician who is acting like this is as serious as it is has been Bernie Sanders.
And
Yeah, I mean,
the
obviously,
rest
like,
of the squad as well. Like,
Yeah, AOC.
Well, yeah.
Ayanna Presley is currently being tested for coronavirus. She has flu-like symptoms.
she needs to.
Maybe
redeem
she's
herself
just
in a way.
hungover. Yeah, maybe she just partied too hard. But
I mean,
Jeez.
I would
Yeah.
I would be trying to drink away my sorrows if my the candidate that I backed has showed absolutely no leadership skills at all.
and that's the worst thing about this. And one of the reasons Trump's approval ratings are relatively high, not to governors, which is uplifting because people generally approve of their leaders during times of crisis. But the Democrats have no counter right now because they can't put Biden out there, right?
Yeah, they're without a foil.
Sure, because
he was busy converting his his library / recreation room into a TV studio.
it's a
instead of
green
just-
screen. It's it's so obvious. And now the fucking and it should come out. And I'm not saying it shouldn't because obviously I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. Fuck him. But like now he has a rape scandal on top of everything else about to come
Yeah.
out.
I mean, it's
Great fucking job, DNC.
just par for the fucking course.
I saw
absolutely par for the course.
I saw a tweet
Sorry,
the
Dennis.
other day that was very illuminating. And I keep it in mind. I cannot remember who tweeted it, but I did retweet it. But they had said that after Super Tuesday, they had lost a lot of hope when it came to Sanders' campaign, and they were thinking that like the only thing that could really do something to sort of like put a fire under the Sanders campaign would be like a complete economic collapse. But when is that going to happen? And then like literally the one man who like is Sanders prepared to like has Sanders ever dealt with something like this as a leader? No, but has he showed the capacity that he knows how to address the public to keep them from being afraid, but also knows how to work with other politicians in order to get these things done? He has done both of those things, I think, very admirably. And we can praise Sanders all we want. Of course, there's many things flawed with this candidate, but his capacity to show leadership in this time of need is gone beyond the pale. And unfortunately, the mainstream media keeps downplaying it as if it's not happening, and it's dangerous at this point.
We need a leader who can like deal with this. There's never been a leader who's dealt with anything like this, right? 2008 was not dealt with. It was just
the AIDS crisis was not dealt with.
Absolutely not. It still has not been dealt with.
No, are we? Did I make an AIDS joke or a 2008 joke? I can't even tell.
No.
But, AIDS has been dealt with pretty successfully, actually. But like 2008, the can was just kicked down the road. And it's,
you mean like yeah.
yeah, and we are here, and we are doing the goddamn same thing. In 2008, we called it quantitative easing. Now we're just calling it, just get all the money you want. It's fine. It's fucked. We're all fucked. It's fine.
Totally. I mean, the numbers aren't real, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It especially doesn't matter to us, and more importantly, like whatever the line does, it doesn't matter to us because we don't have capital invested in companies through a pyramid scheme that is based on prospective. It's just gambling odds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're
Uh,
betting on the company that the government is going to bail out, which happens to be Boeing, apparently. Because
Well, they do make all of those really nice bombs and planes that drop bombs.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure they have some money in the medical field, but it's not gonna be enough. It's not gonna save us. Brad, do you have like just a quick what was the answer? What was the tipping point? Where, or like, is there a pinpoint? Like, at what point did we begin to fuck up our response to this, or was there just like at no point did we ever have any good response? We passed up the point of no return, like January.
Yeah, that's basically the answer. There has never at any point been a coordinated federal response to this. before we are where we are. And it feels bizarre because it's it's difficult to explain to people like how like this is just going to like grow exponentially and get worse and worse and worse every day. But the ripple effects it's going to have on our healthcare system, because back to what I said, we don't want too much capacity because that's empty space we're not using. And as that starts happening, that's when we're really going to start seeing the implications and the repercussions from this. So we've passed the point where we could have prevented a lot of this. Right now, where we are is do everything we can to manage it and prevent this from spiking again in the fall. And that's really how we have to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
But the president is very clearly pitting states against one another for resources. And so I don't have an answer of how that's going to go.
Well, as the state with the most guns per capita, I really hope that none of the other states try to send supplies through Texas. Because we will just seize that shit.
Yep.
So, yeah, I guess there is no hope. There never was hope.
Hope is an illusion.
Hope is an illusion. Like even like, reverting to, I guess, Marxist historical analysis, like we've always fucked up shit like this, and there's no reason to believe that we're any better now than we were during the AIDS crisis. We're just gonna let people die, and now it's not gay people; it's just like
this is all people.
Whoever. It's
this is much worse than the AIDS. This will be much worse than the AIDS crisis.
Yeah.
Oh well, absolutely. But also, you have like you were talking about in the beginning, Lieutenant Governor of Texas just saying the old people are willing to die.
Yeah, it's the lack of federal responsibility to any of this. Like Trump has really been like Pontius Pilate, just washing his hands of this and letting us all kind of figure it out afterwards.
It is taken years of coordination to reach a point where this disaster is capable of becoming this rampant and destroying this many lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a multitude of reasons why. We've touched on, it feels like so few of them, because there are so many, because they are so widespread, because the system itself is so rotten, and it feels almost impossible to give what do you say to people when they ask you why are we failing so bad? I mean, that may be the same question I just asked, but what do you say to people?
We followed our protocols. We don't really have much to say. Within the ER, where it was my last rotation before we all got canceled and sent home, we were saying like, you don't have any you have no exposure. You're not in at-risk population. We're not going to test you. The best thing for you to do is go home.
Christ.
Yeah.
Well, I guess system was designed to fail.
Yeah, here we are.
Who could have thunk of it?
Good. Yeah. Well,
Zach,
thanks,
why are
Brad,
all of
for
Zach, I need to ask you, why are all of your bonus episodes so sad?
because I am so sad, and so by extension, the art that I create is also sad.
Way to go.
There you go. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Like, you gonna pretend like it's not horrific and sad, and like it couldn't have been absolutely prevented from the very beginning?
No, I mean, we could have had another topic.
Because the world is sad and nobody understands exactly how bad it is, or else they'd be reacting correctly. And they'd be
We
afraid.
hope. Yeah, we hope.
We hope. I mean, yeah, like incite panic. It would be better than doing nothing, right?
Okay, way to go, Debbie Downer.
Yeah. That ends in fascism a lot of the times.
Okay.
You heard it here first, folks.
Establish
Get fascism.
All right,
establish a vanguard
go,
party,
guys.
and
Yes.
then
Establish
incite then incite panic.
There
All right,
you
I
go.
gotta go, guys.
All
This
right.
was fun.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for coming,
Thank you
Brad.
very much,
I
Brad.
appreciate you.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me. That was fun.
Mhm. Feed your girlfriend.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
going to right now. She's
Wonderful.
glaring at me angrily.
Yeah. So Brad is from Dumb and Awful. I listen to Dumb and Awful as much as I can. Great show, great guys. Brad. We brought Brad on because he has specific knowledge of the medical field that maybe I or Dennis do not, grapple with every day.
No, Zach and I are the eggheads of the group, but only because we like to read a lot.
Yeah, yeah. We're the weird kids that like were on Wikipedia, and then like we kept clicking, and then it was like 3 a.m. and we were like, oh no, I need to be at school in like 3 hours. Yeah, but this is at least an interesting talk, slightly illuminating.
I would say so.
In some aspects,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much to talk about that's gone into this disaster. We don't even know the full extent of it, and here we are trying to already break it down into and figure out what has happened, because that's all that we really can do as we wait for the full effects of the coronavirus to hit the States.
Right, and I think, as much as I did make fun of you at the end for being kind of doom and gloom, I think this having a realistic aspect of, or I should say, having a realistic outlook of what the reality is a good thing. It's not like, of course, it's frightening and it's scary, and but you can at least prepare yourself for the potential, and just stay home. Just stay home if you can. Wash your hands.
Yeah, yeah. There's no where I was going with my mask story was, it may seem like you're overreacting to other people around you, to yourself even sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I'm overreacting. I'm like, why am I wearing a mask and gloves in public? Like, I'm not around. I don't live around enough weebs for it to seem normal. But if I don't end up catching the coronavirus, then it worked. And what's important is that it worked, and if it worked, then it wasn't an overreaction. It was enough to prevent the transmission of the disease.
Right. Just being cautious.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing more precious than, your life or the life of your loved ones.
Mm-hmm. And
so
we know that
be cautious.
Yeah, we know that our listeners are actually far more active and than either Zach, Bo, Kelton, or myself. So we know that you lead active lives, and we know that you probably are going a little stir crazy if you do have shelter in place orders. But just listen to us.
Yep, and we do have people in the Discord that are at home, that have been at home quarantined for 2 weeks, that are starting to show signs of coronavirus. So it's very frightening.
Yeah.
But the best thing that we can do to combat the system itself and specifically coronavirus is to for now rely on the community that we already have around us. People around the world are bonding together, fighting this. And here in the U.S., we're going to get to know our neighbors a lot better very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have to continue that in the future. We have to continue reinvesting into our communities, reinvesting into the people that are going to be the only ones there for us when disaster strikes, because the government is not.
Yep. Check out Rent Strike 2020.
So, yep. Rent Strike 2020. It is bigger than our podcast. It is bigger than the Rose Caucus, who was also helping organize it. It is bigger than just their Twitter account. It is as big as every. It is. What am I trying to say?
It's big.
Get involved in that and stay safe, everybody.
Hit up Britney Spears if you're running low on food.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah, so
actually try it, because she might listen. She has said that she was going to help out people, like moms who need like diapers and stuff. So
that's beautiful. Can't wait for the Mr. Beast episode of him going around giving out toilet paper and food to people in need. It's going to make me really feel good about capitalism.
Right.
So, to end on a depressing note, this is the Psychic Dolphin Experience signing off.
Later.
Howdy, y'all. Don't forget to follow our link tree in the show notes to discover new things like our Discord, social media platforms, and all the places where you can listen to our podcast. Word of mouth is the best way to introduce us and other leftist creators to friends, family, coworkers, your AA buddies. Community is about more than hot takes online. And if you want to support our efforts, you can donate to us at patreon.com/psychicdolphingarage, which is spelled how it sounds. Hope to see you on the stream tonight. Enjoy this music by JJ Denis.
How the fuck I still got a full head of hair? Not a single gray. Fuck the cops, family first, every single day. Bringing a charm when I ring the alarm. My arms got a box cutter insignia. We gotta abolish ICE, we gotta abolish ICE, abolish it. No need to apologize, the Holocaust apologists. For no reason we colonized the land and put up monuments. Dope needles, dollar signs, the globe stands in astonishment. I hope there'll be a punishment. I really wanna get bloody. I really wanna stand in judgment of anybody taking money from anybody in the struggle. Anybody on a budget. Poor people getting 10 to 20 for some dumb shit. Corporations incorporating a bloodlet. Mark my fucking words, this coup will not be bloodless. Mark my fucking words, this coup will not be bloodless. Mark my fucking words, this coup will not be bloodless. Mark my fucking words, this coup will not be bloodless. Mark my fucking words, this coup will not be bloodless. Mark my fucking words, this coup will not be bloodless. Mark my fucking words.